watching the clock, 10,000 hours go by. I keep putting in work, the tears are filling my eyes. I swear I've never been tested like this, but this is mine. It's not a matter of chance, just a matter of time. Never look back. If something's standing in my way, I always push back. If something seemed impossible, I never took that. Nah, cause now I know better. Can't stop, won't stop, I won't quit ever. The highest fall, it won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me. I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
Today's matchup. MVP. BBQ Olivers. The Fantastic Run.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Summer 2018. You may have looked at the docket and said, yes, we're probably starting on time here tonight. However, that was not the case. It was a 3-game series, and Jin Air came out on top against Kingzone, and now MVP versus BBQ. And what are we actually supposed to expect here? Because MVP just got thrashed by Kingzone earlier on in the week, now looking a little bit like they could be susceptible to the BBQ upset.
I think it's possible. You know, you don't normally see, after losing to Jin Air, you didn't really have many high hopes for BBQ. But MVP aren't doing fantastically. Jin Air is on the up. They beat Kingzone. The meta's in a bit of disarray. No one really knows what's good and what's bad. There's so much up in the air that predicting between 8th and 9th, we have trouble predicting between 2nd and 9th. So who knows, Atlas?
Yeah, and MVP have an opportunity to go up against SK Telecom T1 with that 4 win as well. So they could potentially even on points if they were to win this series, but it could be a 7th place MVP at the end of the night if BBQ are dispatched, as BBQ tend to be, as their 0-9 status here in the LCK would allude to. See whether MVP can do it. See what the roster's going to be. They were playing Maha last time out against Kingzone. That flat out didn't work. Will we be seeing a different man in the awesome dude position?
And what about Bono? Will he keep his spot, or will they return to Trick? Trick played the majority of the first round robin, but not the match earlier this week. Let's load into it. We're ready for some more League of Legends here at the Seoul E Stadium. Starting a bit late. Hopefully we're going to have a competitive series between MVP and BBQ. We're going to start with the most valuable players. And I spied with my little eye a pilot. I'm not talking about on the Jin Air plane. I mean in the lineup for MVP.
Well, that's a pilot that you want to be today, Papa Smithy, or this week. But you're right, it will be pilot in the AD carry position. ADD, Yondu, Ian, and of course Max will round out the roster. I'm not going to say anything about ADD. He's a top laner for MVP. That's what I'm going to leave it at today. We'll see whether that helps him up towards the top side of the map against Crazy here on the side of BBQ. But honestly, MVP looked hapless against a Kingzone that we just saw lose to the Jin Air Green Wings. So what is going to be the change for MVP over a couple of days? I
don't really believe in the transitive property of victories this season. I feel like perhaps we don't infer too much from the greater than chains. ADD currently ranked 2 on solo queue, was ranked 1 yesterday, but Knight played a game and won. We just don't know what team Knight is on. He's not on Suning anymore, that's all we know, but not in the LCK, sadly. The talented Korean mid laner.
Hasn't come back to us as of yet. And looking over the other side of the map, it's a little bit of a worry here for BBQ. 0-9, desperate for that first win. Will it be Trick? Will it be Bono is the question. And it will be Bono, so no Trick once again. Will it be a beautiful day? I'm not entirely sure, as Crazy Tempt, Ghost, and Ignar will, of course, round out the BBQ roster. If they get a win, oh hell, it'll be beautiful, but It hasn't been for quite some time.
They don't get a win. It's going to be a Sunday, bloody Sunday to wake up for on the side of BBQ. Bono looked a little bit hapless. His decision-making was quite poor. That series against Jin Air, Umti comfortably better than him, but Umti just had a great series against Peanut and friends in the last one. We'll see if Bono can have a better performance here.
And how does the rock, paper, scissors play out as well? Because there's one hell of a game of it going on, and BBQ finding a win here could really confuse everyone as to the power levels of a lot of these teams. Looking at the win-loss, both of these teams, there's a lot of gray.
Looks like a Tetris piece on the side of BBQ.
Yeah.
Not a good one.
A real crappy Tetris piece.
Yeah.
You have to set up for that one.
There. Yeah. You get a bad beat when you face that particular Tetris piece as MVP. They beat BBQ, they beat SKT at their lowest, they beat Jin Air. Everyone else has been a bit too tough for MVP to beat. Looking at KDA's, Pilot certainly had a good one and wasn't hurt by their loss earlier this week. It was Maha, as you mentioned, starting in that one.
Yeah, actually sitting at 8th place in KDA's, so I believe that was Jin Air before them. I wonder whether Jin Air has now propped themselves up over MVP with that victory.
Good news, Bono hadn't played enough game to be the lowest KDA, so he actually has a lower KDA than Trick, who has the lowest overall KDA. Bad news for BBQ, this is the one they really can't win.
They need to go back to 2017 Spring Round 1. Whatever happened there, channel that one, BBQ.
That was a different world for all of us,
And a
Atlas.
completely different roster as well.
That's when every game we were stoked about seeing all these players back from China and overseas. Let's look at that key player, the man who did not play earlier this week. It's Pilot. I, for one, would love to see the return of his Callista.
Yeah.
Callista Thresh, that'd be a fun one to see.
Certainly was one of his best champions when he was able to play regular marksman on the bottom side of the map. No longer the case.
He's played quite a few, though. He's tried to play the Ezreal, the Lucian, multiple games. He's played some Ryze and Vladimir, but more comfortable on the AD carries. In the mid lane, it's Ian and Tempt. I think Ian has been pretty good overall in summer season. Tempt has had a down season, as of course everyone on the side of BBQ has.
Yeah.
Definitely the sort of matchup that could go either way, but traditionally, Ian is hulked up. He's powered up in the 1v1 against Tempt when these two teams have met.
And he really has powered up as far as with his team as well. You can see that illustrated in the kill participation statistic. It's been Ian trying to get around the map, trying to affect the rest of his lanes and trying to hold MVP together. Hasn't really been successful so far as they're locking down 8th place in the LCK at the moment. However, with 3 victories in the first round robin, they can potentially turn it around and at least try and make their way up to the middle of the pack.
Long-standing mid laners as well. This rivalry started in 2016 spring when MVP re-entered the League of Legends sphere after already we had seen the substitute and Athena had left ESC ever and he was replaced by Tempt. So they have been meeting the mid lane for the longest ever time, and the voters, the 1,500 or so that rocked up, they stick with history, they stick with the higher spot, they stick with BBQ's losing streak continuing.
Yeah. 0-10 is not a place that you want to be, but MVP certainly don't want to lose anymore either. They need to try and challenge that 7th place in SKT. A loss to BBQ would honestly almost cement them down in that bottom 3 that they would have got to. Let's get into the draft and see what MVP have planned for us. Blue side will belong to them in game number 1. The red side counterpick options here for BBQ. Whether they can capitalize is the question on everyone's lips.
And breathing room is kind of the subtext of this series for me. MVP, their breathing room from relegations, much less now that Jin Air has 2 match wins. MVP come into this sitting at 3. And for BBQ, just stopping this being the first time we have ever had a squad go an entire season with no best of 3 victories. We've already mentioned it once, we'll say it again. BBQ face MVP, then Jin Air. The opposition doesn't get any softer. They desperately need one to win in the next 2 best of 3s.
Yep, they need them now. Aatrox's going to be the ban here. I expect Talia and Nocturne to follow suit as MVP get rid of the Swain as well as the Shen.
Anything else would be a surprise. You can also try to play with your food a little bit and see if MVP don't want to first pick the Nocturne or something like that. My instinct is that Yondu would love to jump on it, and they're going to ban away the Kled. We saw BBQ play it. Didn't look great, but they were able to play it, and they no doubt have been putting more hours into it, so no Kled. Tempt looks frustrated.
We also know that the Kled was played against MVP to great effect, and the Nocturne is going to be available. That's what you're okaying, I believe, and MVP are going to say, well, I guess we'll take it. You saw the look on Yondu's face. He was like, know. I guess I'll just play the free win champion.
There's a gasp from the crowd and also the casters every time Nocturne is open. In Korea, his win rate has been over 80% the entire season. His ban rate has been above 95% for the majority of recent memory, so that's a big pickup for MVP. There's many ways you can try to play around the Nocturne. You try to be more proactive, and that's what BBQ are going to do. We're going to see Bono trying to get aggressive on the Kindred.
All right, Kindred going to be locked in. I guess there's a lot more that you can do pre-6 than the old Nocturne can, but they'll need more of a plan here to try and take out this comp, because I have a feeling if Ian locks in the Galio after this, it could be a real problem for BBQ unless the Lamb's Respite is god tier.
I could see BBQ actually picking the Galio themselves to try to combo it with the Kindred.
Yeah?
I wonder if because of the Nocturne and Kindred both really working with the Galio well, we'll see a Galio contested here. Watching the first round, maybe we're all initiating, Atlas.
Yeah, maybe it's going to be just Ash, Tom, Kench locked in here for MVP. If this is the pick that they're looking at. Of course, we do know that Pilot does like to go towards 80 carries. This will be a new one on the season, and Ash is going to be locked in. Bit of an LPL flavor pick here if they do go for the Tom Kench towards the bottom side of the map as well. Gragas being considered probably for ADD, but I guess could go into the hands of Max because Max plays basically everything.
Yeah, there's a lot more support Gragas scrim before the latest Gragas buff, and then, of course, the top lane Gragas come out. Does sound like an AD champion. He's been playing it in solo queue, but it's a flex pick. So you'll take a flex pick and another initiator. We're all going in. Gragas versus Kindred, compositionally very strong for the ability to knock people out of the Lamb's Respite as well.
And could this potentially be MVP flirting with mid lane Nocturne, Papa Smithy?
You know, they are the sort of team that would consider it. Probably not the support Nocturne, which usually is Max going full mad scientist, so yes.
It doesn't seem great as a support option. Does have a Terrify. I guess he likes Fiddlesticks.
But in mid lane, you can kind of think of him similar to Talon of just take a smite and kill those Raptors real fast.
Yeah, and the mid lane smite has been extraordinarily popular, plus he clears out a minion wave very fast and very healthily with the Umbra Blades.
I want to talk about something technical in terms of the meta. You notice at the last pick on the red side where Tempter snapped up Mundo, we've been seeing Mundo taken much earlier than that in drafts. The reason for that is if it's left open to the final pick on the red side, you just ban away the Darius and potentially the Cannon, and you say, what else you got? And so far in the LCK, the answer's been not much. However, there is an Ashe. Ashe can reach a tipping point where she gets an Infinity Edge, a crit item, and also the Lord Dominic's, and there might actually be enough damage for once to kill a Mundo.
And the Talon ban is standing out to me, Papa. I'm like, I've still got Nocturne mid on the mind. I feel like, you know, Talon with Smite would actually go up against the Nocturne quite well. Not able to get that level advantage. The Cannon, like you were saying, is going to come in.
I turned my nose up at you. I don't think we're going to see it.
I'm getting overexcited.
In the first couple of weeks, I was saying the same thing, and we never saw it, so I'm going to assume it's gone forever.
Okay. You've been burnt too hard before.
I have.
Well, we'll see whether it is going to happen or whether you're exactly right. You've had a habit of being pretty correct just recently, Papa, so...
Well, I did think LCK was going to win Rift Rivals, so how correct have I been?
What? Rift Rivals? I'm sorry, what was that? I haven't heard of that tournament before.
Well,
does it have Worlds implications?
No.
All right, cool. That's
Good
fine.
news. That it does not, although it has foreboding about Worlds. That's for sure.
It certainly does.
As BBQ need a bot lane. Could be Vladimir in the bot lane, of course. Wait and see what the decision is. Ooh, how about an old Ignar favorite, the Alistair?
Yeah, and they're going to lock that one in and still allude to the fact that the Vladimir could be heading down there, keeping the flexibility available for the rest of the map. And MVP, what are you doing?
Are we Galioing, is my question. Gragas has a bit of negative synergy with the Galio, but you can just hold on to the cast till after Hero's Entrance is joined. I thought maybe BBQ will be opting into it, but this game was screaming out for a big gargoyle, and it seems like MVP are going to be the ones that get it.
Yeah, and Papa's going to be the one that's correct as well, so I'm not going to get my mid lane Nocturne most likely, unless we're going to once again have it in the hands of Max. The crazy flexibility situation. Now what does Max want to take? I really like Nami Ashe. That's a real fun lane, but they don't necessarily know who they're up against at the moment. Max has some crazy ideas. The Freljordian bottom lane used to be a big favorite, and the Braum is going to be locked away. And now Ignar has to hover a few weird things before he decides what BBQ's composition is going to mean.
Completely facetious, but Alistair and Blitzcrank were a duo lane in Korea many moons ago.
The Blitzstar.
The Blitzstar played in Champions Spring and Champions Summer 2012. They need to decide what to do with the Vladimir. It seems like it's going to be in the marksman mode. No, they changed their mind. Now, this could also be a Lucian mid lane. That was a pick into Galio once upon a time. We'll wait and see what the lane assignment is here. If you're thinking about win rates, the only Vladimir that BBQ have won with has been mid lane on Tempt. Will it be the Vladimir mid lane or the Lucian mid lane? My first thought is maybe Lucian.
Well, at the moment, Tempt is holding on to it. They've got until 20 seconds before that one is going to be confirmed, though. MVP will be heading ADD towards the top side of the map. Felt like a bit of a nullifying matchup between the Gragas and the Mundo in our last series. We'll see whether ADD is going to be able to get anything else done up against Crazy, a very different Mundo than that is wielded by Khan. And it will be the mid lane Lucian, like you say, Papa.
Definitely can do a lot of harass onto the Galio. Very easy to hit him with the piercing light, get the pass-through damage. Galio walks up to get that passive in, try to clear the wave. Vladimir also can outplay an Ashe pretty easily in the bot side as well. So lane assignment-wise, I think just going to be fine from the side of BBQ. The first time seeing mid lane Lucian in a long while in Korea, maybe first time in 2018. We had a little bit of Corki in spring season, but other than that, it's been absent when it comes to the mid lane marksman. MVP do have post 6 a pretty easy to execute pick comp with the Nocturne, and just the fact they have a Nocturne is they've done it. They're taking the BBQ skin and sending it against them.
Oh no, that is the worst. It's cows versus chickens, but the chickens are on the wrong side, Papa Smithy.
But we could have some cowbells and also some chicken dances.
Oh, I hope that it does happen. Of course, you need the chicken dance. Doesn't matter what side of the rift it's on for me, Papa Smithy. If it's a BBQ game, we need to get that chicken dance in there. And of course, Ian is going to be helping out with the fans. Guys, we're not going to be getting into the game immediately. We need to sit and let this stew for a little while. Got a slight pause to begin this one.
I'm going to put something out there.
Put it out there, Papa.
It might mean something to you, it might not. Did you ever watch Cow and Chicken?
Cow and Chicken, yeah, of course I did.
We got Cow and Chicken on the rift, baby.
My God, wow, that is like... You are so good at having the memory for the things that I watched like 20 years ago.
We're all about 20 years ago. Stop aging us older than everyone in chat, as everyone else is younger than 20, probably.
Yep, that is probably true. If you're at home and you're not quite our age,
in fact,
then we're the weird ones. We assure you. We know that.
We've probably got like 20,000 odd viewers, and also 200 fans here in the audience and pro players. How many people are above 20? I wonder.
How many people are older than us? I wonder.
Not many.
Like 6?
Whoa, maybe more than that.
We should probably...
I actually do have some older fans who message me and say, oh, I'm 35, I have a full-time job, but I watch the LCK where I can. So
yeah?
They're definitely, but they're certainly the exception.
It's interesting as to what the age would be. We could possibly, have a look at Twitch chat, which is right now telling us exactly how old they are. Everyone seems to be about 22.
No, from what I see, everyone's 12, by the way.
12. Well, there's a dude that's 168, so I think I may have been called out. I didn't even know anyone got to that age.
Well, I read
Science
it on the
has
internet.
come a long way.
I read it
on... Yeah, exactly.
It must be true.
Well, we are going to be resuming the game relatively soon. We had a look at Max there. We'll see what he can get done as let's hit the rift.
생성까지 30초.
Pretty even here. We've got a few sparing fans here for our second matchup of the night. Teams not doing a whole lot of winning, so you wouldn't expect a huge turnout, but very passionate fans for both of these teams. BBQ fans sitting there with their chicken in cups available.
To be fair, they do give chicken to anyone who wants it.
Oh, so maybe the MVP fans as well. But you'd feel like if you're a true MVP fan, you wouldn't be eating the BBQ's
Turn your nose
chicken.
up at it. I heard a cowbell. We're not looking at the screen, sadly.
We're looking at Ignar, though. He is the one that would be responsible for the cowbellin.
I like how they also went for the standard BBQ skin, which is great. There's a lot of history between these two teams, and I know the numbers there are much bigger for MVP, and if I've learned anything about Twitch chat, they love the big numbers and find the small numbers very hilarious. But let's pause for a moment.
I think it's Ian might have a little bit of a problem. He had a problem with his health bar getting smacked down a little bit by a certain Lucian in the mid lane. Not entirely sure what is going on. He's got a sound issue. That's what's going to be keeping Ian out of this one. You can see we've got a whole lot of text trying to figure it out. It might be his headset that's ruined everything.
Do we have any brands to put on notice?
Oh.
I can't actually tell what brand headset that is.
Yeah, I've seen it before, but I don't remember what the brand is.
Who are we throwing on the bus?
Why.
Choose one. Go.
Go now. Panasonic.
Oh, Panasonic headsets.
I hate them. Just the worst.
Hey, that's some strong language. They might sponsor us in the future.
Oh, no.
Oh, Joel has told us he likes Panasonic.
Yeah, but he comes from Raid Call.
That's true. You can't trust anyone who's
and
even mentioned Raid Call.
That's already gone under.
I know. Well, we don't know that for sure.
You definitely don't know that for sure because you've made sure you have as little information on Raid Call as possible.
I know nothing about Raid Call or Ornn item names. I refuse to know anything about them.
Knows everything about everything else, guys. Don't worry about that, though. He's just seeing whether he can hear something. This is the face of a man that doesn't know whether he can hear anything, but now he does, because we're back into the game. BBQ going to be taking blue buff first, so mirrored starts on the bottom side of the map. For both of these junglers is Yondu going for something a little bit funny.
Yeah, you only see this for a level 2 gank from a Trundle usually, but maybe he really wants the bot side scuttle. To me, it'd be a bit curious to double down on the bot side scuttle, but he's going to be spotted going for this area as, yeah, Nocturne's been hella broken.
Yeah, he has. 20 and 4. Okay.
That's a really big number.
That's a really, really big win rate. The classic 84%. Yondu's going to be able to grab this one. Can he actually fight level 2 against Bono's Kindred at the top side scuttle? Looks like the first mark will go over to the Kindred.
Name almost any champion. I guess Camille, if she gets the drop, probably can, but everybody else gets slammed level 2 by good old Kindred.
I feel like Pantheon could get something done.
Yeah, that's true. Electrocute Pantheon can do pretty well. As you know, a favorite of mine is solo queue.
Yeah. Mine too, I played top.
But the information advantage for Bono is pretty significant, so I do like that he's walking over. He's going to double blue buff Yondu.
Yeah, Yondu's just going to look over and see that the blue buff is not here. He understood that. Actually, the
Yondu
Gromp was taken as well. Yeah.
The most outpath.
Yeah. So blue's taken. 3 buff probably going to be successful here as Yondu's not going to be able to walk in between in and out of turrets at level 2.
There's more information available by BBQ. Better level 1 BBQ than we haven't been able to say that too many times this season.
Well, Yondu's so depressed about the start that he's going to deny a little wolf. Yeah, take that, Bono.
I showed you.
Yeah, get him. Well, Taunt's going to come in, but it's a really good relentless pursuit to get Tempt out of the way of that one. And this matchup, you mentioned, has been a counter for a while. And Ian certainly not having the greatest of times. We'll be able to teleport back into the lane, though, but 5 CS behind and won't be able to buy too much.
Nocturne definitely doesn't want to opt into vertical jungling. If you go to vertical jungling against a Kindred, you can get really unlucky, and the marks can just be on the side of the jungle that the Kindred is patrolling, let's say top side in this case, and then you just end up having a Kindred through RNG being able to get a big lead. So far, it's just the BBQ early game, the level 1, and the vision they had being superior to what MVP did. So far, well-earned lead. Okay, this is going to be a good trade here.
He's going to be able to land the Justice Punches in. He's liking it, looking for the next shot as Winds of War. Very close. If that potion wasn't popped, he was a flash away from dead, was Tempt.
And it's actually even better than it first appears. Consider that Tempt had to go cleanse and have to walk back to lane. So you would almost never expect a Galio to get a preferential back time on a Lucian, even with teleport, as that's zoom in on the bot lane.
Yep, Pilot just going to have to walk into this Kindred. The flash does come out, but is he still going to die? Bono looks for more. Doesn't get it. The stand behind me is going to be there from Max. Gets the Guardian Shield, and now the teleport available for Pilot, but doesn't have the flash.
It's not in my head. I'm saying, okay, BBQ. Basically everything they've done in the early game has been very intelligent, like the pathing that came through from Bono. Max got really greedy trying to freeze the wave, but Pilot can just teleport back.
Double flashes down on the bottom side. Thankfully for Max, the exhaust is there. And MVP on their own were winning this fight. Now with Yondu waiting in the wings. Level 4 is available outside of vision, as you saw. The pings are going to come in, and Bono once again finds another target. Yondu is turning around for it as now the fight might be on. Stun lands onto Ignar as Yondu, the only one down here with a flash, but it doesn't matter. He doesn't even, oh no, he does use it, but he's still going to go down nonetheless. Now Bono is going to get punished. Pilot looks for the last auto, but they give it to ADD. That was definitely on purpose. It's now Ian looking for more in the mid lane up against Tempt. It's all going sideways here for everyone.
Bono's been like this from the start of this season, very aggressive, relentlessly will pursue for a first kill, but never has an exit plan. It's always a one-way trip for him. They do draw out teleport and flash, from ADD to get the kill, so resource-wise, probably fine from the side of BBQ. It's getting a bit too greedy for kills. When, if you think about it, Bono coming bot lane and getting the flash and then the teleport out of Pilot is already a massive win, Atlas, because consider that Ignar is laning with teleport. That's not unsealed spellbook, that's just teleport. So getting a summoner lead when your lane doesn't actually have laning summoners is already a win for Vladimir and Alistair. The 1-for-1 kind of unnecessary as TP is going to be spotted.
It's on top of a control ward. Pilot's just going to get out of the way as
It's just
Ignar
Ignar.
was teleporting back to lane.
Standard Ignar.
Yep, pretty regular stuff, but the fact that he was noticed there means that that control ward probably won't last as long as some of them can. With this side of the map. Does clear out this side, though.
He's trying to do some other things to make his visit look a bit more
Intelligent?
intelligent. Not necessarily to hide anything from us, the viewers, but to say, oh yeah, he came in just to use clear the blasting plant, or just to clear the scrying, not just to place a control ward. So just general disarray from Ignar on the bot side.
Well, speaking of the bot side, looks like this red buff is once again going to be contested.
He's been there forever, but it's mostly in service of ensuring that Kindred gets the steal.
One of the things that is in your power when you've got a Vladimir on the bottom side means that you don't necessarily need to 2v2s, just happily 1v2ing here. Has Predator on his boots as well for some added movement speed. Sanguine Pool, though, going to be the big thing. Finally, the cow turns back up, and that's yet again the Nocturne losing out on a red buff.
What I invite you to do at home is really watch Bono, because Bono has been the benefactor of the early game. He's got marks, been able to invade, steal away buffs. It was a 3 buff into stealing away the red buff. You need good game sense at the pro level to know when your invades are well-timed and the right time to go, and when it's too greedy to make a solo queue invade and try to just take away a camp, steal away a mark. And being able to toggle that on and off is what the best players in the LCK can do. Bono's still warming up to the LCK stage, and if you're caught with your hand in the cookie jar too many times as Kindred, you really can get to a mid to late game scenario where you don't do enough damage or have enough utility to be anything more than a burden to your team.
Yeah. It's one of those champions where that particular distinction really does come out to pretty harsh contrast between the best and the worst, which is why we compliment Score and always want to see that style of Kindred play, because it does take finesse to get right. If you compound that with what you're saying about Bono just in general as a player, can get dangerous. Yondu looking for this first dragon. Ocean Drake at this particular part of the game feels pretty damn good for all of the players on the MVP side.
There's plenty of experience in the jungle, as you can tell by Bono and Yondu being at the same experience level. Yondu's just taken less of the blue and red buffs. In fact, it's been a 3 buff into a red steal.
Yeah, well, Bono was wasting a little bit of time down here, but it's going to be the Rift Scuttler going over to MVP. Max out here at the right time. A little bit of a scuffle going on as the culling does come down. Ultimate is going to be invested, gets the smoke. Oh, Ignar with the engage. It's beautiful. Yondu's going to die, and Ian puts himself in the way of everyone. We'll have to flash to get out. The collapse was real nice from BBQ.
Really decisive play from Ignar. They damage calculate through the hero's entrance super well. BBQ Oliver's best early game we've seen from them all season, and now they're hunting for Ashe.
Yep, getting even more. The teleport is going to come in as Ignar says, well, I guess I'm going to have to use my ultimate to get the hell out of the way of this one. Max coming down means that Bono dances of arrows, going to get him out of the way of the Winter's Bite. And BBQ don't get any more, but keep the pressure on.
And you get to watch the replay here, BBQ. They rush in, just trying to pressure Max. Now MVP fully on the disengage. Max's entire health bar is gone, but Ignar first, headbutt pulverized, super decisive. Ian never going to be able to spare the blushes of his teammates there, has to flash out as well. Big change in momentum. Those just farming in the bot lane. They've been able to get a nice CS advantage on the Ashe, but otherwise, good news stories abound for BBQ.
Yeah, what's it actually going to mean in the end for this Ashe is the question. It's nice to see Pilot back, but at the moment, things are just going wrong around him rather than anything else, and Ghost not being punished for having an absent cow on the bottom side for a large portion of this game.
Unfortunately, what we haven't seen with the Ashe today, that we saw with the Ashe either yesterday or the day before, was using the Hawk Shot just to basically give you spoilers on where you should be as the Nocturne, which camps were up, where the enemy Kindred was going to be. They haven't been able to keep Kindred honest with the Hawk Shot like we have seen from Ashe previously. And thus, while the laning phase has been great, the Nocturne has been able to clear camps, but the Kindred has also hit the Rift in a pretty significant way for BBQ.
Yeah. And it's a really nice and welcome change for Bono. It's brought to this team. Things are going out. You can see BBQ understand exactly where the Nocturne is. Very important information. Has hit level 7. Does have Paranoia available soon. Hasn't found very much success with it, however. As Shelly gets started by Bono, but ADD knew exactly what was up.
Probably just going to be Iceborne Gauntlet and the standard 40% CDR and resist items coming through from the Gragas. Again, a couple of people messing around with the AP Gragas in solo queue, and Merlinomicon would obviously go a long way to helping with the trades against Mundo, but I don't think that you win the trades really at any point, so not going to index too far in. Just tank items coming through, as we can see.
You probably only ever want to gank that lane if you're going to kill him, so I guess maybe Execution is calling to come in from Yondu. Could be an option against Vladimir as well.
I think they just leave it and try to make plays with the Gragas rather than trying to target the lane. I think you have to do it earlier before the stopwatch comes online.
Well, see what they do decide to do. You can see it has been basically an island for the majority of the game.
I mean, it's super easy for MVP in terms of what they should do. Nocturne goes bot, the Ashe arrow, everyone piles in, the Galio joins. That's how you use these bot lane Ashe and mid lane Galio comps, but so far BBQ have controlled this bot side jungle, and Ignar hex flashing over.
Yep, looking for Ian, decides to cancel it. He's going to flash into the Raptor pit, I think.
Controlling this side has made it very difficult for the Nocturne to first even path around here, let alone make the plays. Another mark goes to the Kindred.
Yeah, Bono's having a great time. Marks thrown down by Wolf certainly have been positive ones. Hasn't been able to kill the Ashe just yet. But wants to, as Yondu has to flash. Feels like that flash has been on cooldown this whole game, Papa.
I think it's 5 marks to the Kindred already. That's what it looked like when it was flashed on the screen. I'll leave you to do the fact-checking there, but
it's at least 4, because we saw it took away at least 4 of those camps that he's needed to, so 5 isn't too far gone.
At some point we might get to the insane numbers we've seen. I think 13 is the highest I've seen in the LCK. That was when score was popping off against MVP. This is the play we talked about, but it certainly looks obvious.
It also looks real difficult, as Ignar not going to get taunted, and there's not a lot of minions underneath this turret, so going to have to get the heck out of the way. At least the Galio does have some wave clear at this stage of the game.
Vlad could just all in if Alistair and Kindred can get here fast enough. Here we go.
Yep, Hemoplague does come down. He takes a lot of damage, though, and that is 1 auto attack left from being stunned. Is going to wear off, and the teleport is going to deter BBQ from re-engaging. Now Ghost, without the Hemoplague, pull down for a few seconds. There's no minion wave. The arrow's going to land from Pilot, probably one of the only times where it can, but doesn't get the autos to continue the slow, and BBQ going to be able to defend the turret.
This push and pull seems a bit questionable for MVP. I don't see them actually having kill threat onto anyone, and they're not actually winning in other parts of the map to justify wasting time bot side. Everyone backs away. Nice item timings, nice farm numbers for Pilot, but otherwise nothing being gained on the bot side.
Yeah, Max desperately wants to try and slow Ghost down, but he's just farming whatever he can get to. 20 CS down is no real problem here, but the tower taking a lot of damage. This could be the opportunity for MVP to find themselves a foothold. First turret blood will be huge, giving them that global gold, giving them that advantage, and they should be able to get it here. Minion Dematerializer going to very much help out, moving this minion wave very quickly towards the turret.
The nice thing this does is whether you get the turret or not, it does draw the enemy jungler defensively. You know that Kindred will be here to try to stop the turret going down, which relieves pressure from the Nocturne, who's still here.
Yeah, Hepapov does come in as Ghost looking for more. Doesn't have the Hemoplague as there's Paranoia. Lamb's Respite is going to keep them alive as Max doesn't get in there. But the Thunderdome looks like it's being created by MVP, and they grab 2 quick kills.
Ian was there at the right time, able to control a lot of space. Hero's entrance in a great spot. He's going to get the turret as well. It's the first good piece of momentum to the side of MVP. BBQ not able to actually find anything, despite MVP's play being so straightforward.
And this is one of the times where we get to talk about the Lucian nerf that a lot of people don't talk about, which is the nerf to the Culling's ability to take down minion waves. He saw Tempt held onto it. He wouldn't have been able to get through it nearly in time.
Watching the hero's entrance here. Held onto for a while, used onto Yondu's position. They knock up one. Nice little flash from Ian. Good decisive play from him. So some great flash play from Rookie and friends back. Rift Rivals.
Yeah.
Great play there. MVP will need to be decisive. The lane we have on our screen, the top lane, will not be kind to them as the items roll in for Mundo.
And giving Ian initiative as well for his team, we would have once upon a time said that sounds like a bad idea. Right now, it feels like a good idea. Ian has been one of the good players for his team, but Ignar, he's looking like one of the good ones for his. Hebapov is going to come in. He's pretty tanky. Flashes out of the way, and ADD going to be alive for the moment. Teleport to come in from the Ash to try and defend this turret, but it actually seems to have worked out pretty well.
Was answering the Vladimir, who's predatoring at the same time. We're having a lot of swapsies here.
Yeah, it's a bit of a do-si-do up towards the top side of the map. This minion wave will get taken out, and Pilot is just going to keep stacking up more and more of these minion kills. Hurricane should be coming in relatively soon. Pilot is just looking for more of these BBQ players. Bono taking some time over on the Rift Herald, but it's been pinged out, and I think that MVP do know this is being taken. Can they do anything about it? A question we are going to find out the answer to, and the answer is no.
We know that the ultimates are on cooldown. Atlas, we already had plenty of series where it was about wombo ults or just pulling back, so BBQ can fall back and confidently take the Rift Herald. Continue to increase the pace of the game. BBQ will be very comfortable about where the game is going. MVP, another standing turret here. Temp starts it.
Ignar, great positioning once again. On the Alistair, loved what he's been able to get done. Always standing ready for these dives. Feels like as soon as the ultimate is off cooldown, he's trying to kill someone.
Remember spring season, Ignar was taking first ban Alistair basically every game.
Yeah.
Remembering his excellent play against SKT at Worlds. Had a fantastic series. His Alistair game was my personal favorite. I believe they lost that one, but he was on the roam, threatening every dive, basically being a terror to the side of SKT.
Reminds me of his Blitzcrank earlier on in the year.
He's a special player.
Yes.
I really like Ignar. I think, obviously, the results here haven't worked for him on BBQ. I think in a team that's doing really well, he'd be the sort of player that would fall into place and take, say, a fourth-place team to become a contender. I think in a team that's clearly suffered many different problems. We saw them unable to pull the trigger on the initiations against Jin Air. Communication has been a problem for them. Meta read has been a problem for them. He hasn't been able to move the needle forward. But it's games like this that remind you that his roaming sense and his engage timings are something that are right up there with the best support players.
Yeah, and also, he's an incredibly good win-more support. And honestly, BBQ haven't been winning at all. So he hasn't had an opportunity to demonstrate how good he is at really solidifying a game.
And that's kind of what I'm alluding to in terms of his impact on a squad. If you have a good squad, he makes them better. If your squad has some troubles already, both in terms of in and out of game factors, he can't rescue them from the current predicament that BBQ finds himself in.
Well, he looks pretty happy about finally being in a game where he can abuse his incredible game sense and mechanics on the Alistair. See whether that continues as the game moves on. Of course, MVP still very even at the moment. Shelly unleashed towards the top side, but not going to get a double charge. BBQ now looking to try and take even more, but MVP this time have those buttons available yet again. And Yondu wants to get that paranoia in. Okay, there it is. Looking for Bono to start this one up. Hero's entrance comes down, and that was after the teleport from Ian to get himself in there. Big two-man taunt, but Ghost is able to move himself out of the way, and they haven't taken significant damage yet. Max moves his way forward. ADD creates some chaos. As, oh my god, the 1-2 punch from the Freljordian duo is going to take down the cow, but that's it, and the Dragon is going to, importantly, go to BBQ.
Let's go back to mid lane. They want to take down this mid lane turret just as 20 minutes is going to crest. No Baron start here, of course, from MVP this early. I believe Ignar's ult had just timed out, so the base damage from the level 2 Ashe ultimate enough to assassinate him.
Yeah.
They walk up here. No damage done earlier because of the matchup.
Oh, Bono does still have Lamb's Respite available as well, as Ian was threatening with that flash taunt. Cullen gonna fly in there as Max stand behind me. Doesn't give him a lot of room to move. Thankfully, the volley is important, but Ignar, he's booking it. Max is gonna get caught out first. The Hemo plate goes down. Ian wants to find more, but he's now trapped himself inside the Lamb's Respite. Yondu gets in there as well. Good God. The Gragas is doing work. Pilot able to snipe off a couple. And there are no more tanky members left. Ignar has to run for the hills, and Tempter's getting out of there as well.
That was the dream for Pilot. There was a potential pentakill there if the fight went any longer. Picked up a couple, but so many blinking health bars. Crucial thing for Ignar's flank. He was on a trinket ward as he came in. So the Galio, once again, a second flash taunt from Ian is massive. Watch the replay. They know the Alistair is coming. I like the way they reevaluate. Ian flashes in the Birdio. There's definitely no love lost from this bird against BBQ. Flashes in, no threat on Pilot. The fight goes any longer. There's so many kills on the Ashe.
Yeah, just flashes forward, doesn't really mind about it at all, and this pick is starting to look like genius. And Bono, honestly, the Lamb's Respite made everything worse. Disaster, but the flash taunt, it eventually came, and maybe, you know, if Ian had have gone for it when I mentioned it a little bit earlier on, a few seconds before, wouldn't have been able to be that high impact. So really good reserved play from the Galio. Nets them a great team fight, and now 1-0-5 on the Galio, 2-0-5, 100% kill contribution for Pilot on the Ashe, and he's where all of the CS has been dumped this game. This could be a huge comeback tour for Pilot after a couple of weeks off.
And one of the picks that BBQ have really, to me, squandered or not been able to master from the new meta has been the Vladimir. They have so many losses on Vladimir. Just for Ghost, it's 0-5. I believe Ares is 0-3. I think they're overall 1-8. Only Tempt has a victory on this Vladimir. Because so often we've seen them put out obscenely low damage numbers in terms of team fights. They haven't been able to get really any leverage out of a champion that should just be able to press all his speed buttons, in this case Spellbinder. The flash also would help, and get off some AoE damage. We've seen Vladimir players for BBQ been very hesitant, as this is not going to be about hesitancy.
No, it's not. It's going to be about a dead Kindred. Lamb's Respite does come in, but the arrow's going to come down and hit crazy, and that is not where they want to be. Yondu used everything that he had in Pilot. Remember, he's got no flash. The culling destroys him. And MVP, I'm not sure what they were trying to do. They thought the hero's entrance could come in, but it got interrupted.
And they might lose Baron here, of course, with Kindred. They have a lot of Baron damage inside of BBQ. They got the mid lane Lucian as well. MVP have to try and find a way to stop this. The call from MVP seems to be to give it up.
Well, they are just going to move away. I would have thought that, you know, throwing a cask in there, doing something would have been better than just letting this go. However, that is exactly what they're going to do. And Ignar not even going to let them take down this outer turret. BBQ, turn the game on its head.
It falls in their lap a bit, Atlas. It just gets donated to their side. We're going to watch the replay to understand it. They see Bono and say, well, he's squishy, let's kill him. But they don't know anything about where the enemy are. They don't know where any of the threats are coming from. All their CC and ults are down, and then Ignar shows up behind. They just don't have the vision to make a play like this. And crucially, of all people, we saw two fights. One where Pilot was free hitting, a second fight where he's flanked by a couple of members. Big mistake for MVP, but maybe not a surprise in 8 versus 10.
Well, they were probably expecting the hero's entrance to come in. I'm not sure how it got interrupted. We didn't quite see it. I'm feeling Ignar might have been the one responsible, but it's hard to understand completely. As you can see where the mindset from MVP was. Get the Galio in there on top, start the party, but there was just no party coming.
Now, the sort of momentum swing that didn't seem like it was on the cards for BBQ. Getting closer and closer to that point in the game where their comp has a lot of options against MVPs. The Nocturne ults haven't been as strong. This might be one of those Nocturne losses that we've seen so infrequently in the summer season.
There's been 4 in the entire first round robin, which is pretty crazy. That's to the 20 victories that he has managed to pick up.
Mundo is very powerful next to the Gragas, can ignore his damage and also push with the Baron buff now, of course.
Ignar, very threatening. Bono does have the damage availability. Okay, Cask comes down. A2D was upset with what Ignar's been doing, I guess, but it's not going to get them anything.
He did zoning Hex Flash, so I guess that's pretty annoying.
Yeah, that is annoying. That's definitely the mana play. I could understand just throwing a Cask at him, teach him a lesson. You can see the control ward line is well and truly just outside the base here for MVP. The pressure of the minions starting to get too much. Winds of War not wave clearing like it otherwise would, but thankfully they do have an Ashe. You can take care of these minions better than most.
Can he take care of Dr. Mundo? Look at the items and say no, not yet.
Yeah.
Needs more than what she currently has Honestly, Ashe, because she's more utility focused, I think you go Lord Dominic's and you need someone else with healing reduction to help her out. I think with that duo, maybe you can have threat on the Mundo. But even with the Mortal Reminder, I feel like perhaps you don't have enough damage to actually puncture through what is always going to be an obscenely tanky champion. Ignar continues to posture. That's my favorite thing about his Alistar. It's much more about the posturing than it is about the flash headbutt pulverizers. He's always in the head. That's a cool thing for a support player to be able to do.
Yeah, and it's definitely after he establishes himself in the early game, but once he does that, he understands exactly what it means.
Well, when you posture when you're behind, you just kind of look silly.
Yeah, you do. But they do understand the threat now, as he's on vision, but who really cares? He has moved himself over, though. Hero's entrance comes down and finally will go in. There's the Lamb's Respite, and now the fight is going to break out. Can MVP actually find it this time? Emo Plague! The explosion is enough to get a GA, but not too much more as Pilot. Decent position now on the back line. Remember, does have that Executioner's calling. So far, it's a 1-for-1 to Vladimir for the Galio.
The Cask Atlas. 80 did not use it in that fight. Wonder if there could be a reposition. His health bar is big, and Pilot can put out the consistent damage afterwards. With the Vladimir down, it should have been Ashe free hitting, but it can't reset the fight, and BB could get to full disengage after losing the eventual fight.
Okay, well, Yondu's going to head back to base. Doesn't have his GA for the next one, which is a huge deal. Having the ability to survive through things like Hemo Plague, certainly a good option if you're the Nocturne diving in. Attempt, he's hit about 3 items on the Lucian. We'll see where his build goes after the rapid fire cannon. Infinity Edge, certainly a good high damage choice, but might want to go more utility with a GA of his own.
Could actually go for an Essence Reaver as a later item
true.
here. I think if you're not the only damage dealer, then it can definitely be a better situation for that Essence Reaver. Not seeing in the bot lane. There's a lot of damage from the Ashe, but unfortunately didn't have the front line at the end of the fight where the marksman usually prevails.
Also wanting to get a few more items as well. Item number 2 comes in, probably desperate for a QSS.
2,400 gold power play. Let's do the subtraction from the right number to the left number.
2,400. It's about nothing, which means that the gold lead is only about 3,000 from a game that was entirely even. MVP managing to stave off a BBQ with a Baron buff for quite some time.
And part of that's because MVP was ahead previously, so there's not so much of a gold lead to eat into, and the team fights we've seen have been so even. They haven't been swinging the pendulum too far one way or the other. I think the mark onto the Nocturne, we don't normally talk about the importance of mark targets at 28 minutes, but it is a no Guardian Angel Nocturne, so he certainly will die in a team fight.
Yeah,
just
free
randomly.
one there for Bono.
Yeah, so that's why I actually do appreciate that one, because it's almost impossible to think of a team fight where the Nocturne doesn't die.
Yeah. He's died 3 times already. He's been getting some work done for his team. And of course, with 75% kill contribution here, it means that he definitely has been able to work some stuff out. As ADD just bops Ignar. He's just got a real problem with Ignar, I think.
I think so. That's the only thing I can infer. Maybe in his conquest to be rank 1 in Challenger, Ignar did a job on him. And now he's mad.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he threw his rank 1 game or something like that. Well, red buff goes over to Pilot pretty easily. The Mundo not able to land the cleaver in time. The Mortal Reminder done for Pilot, actually. Went back and completed that from his Executioner's calling, so still has that Null Magic Mantle sitting there looking curious.
It gets insane value against BBQ. The only person without a heal is Tempt, and even he has the Blade of the Ruin King lifesteal.
Yeah.
Everyone else is very, very healing driven.
Does it mean that Ian goes Merlinomicon as well to try and get that at least in there?
We usually see it, so I think that's probably the right way to go.
Does activate off the taunt, and if he gets that on 1 billion people, it certainly would be a good move.
Gonna go for Ludens, it seems, for a bit more CDR before he can go for that as a 4th item.
Well,
This game is still very, very close, Atlas.
extremely.
BBQ have done a lot better than we've seen in previous times. I think that's been more about their own good play than necessarily the pitfalls of MVP, who haven't been perfect by any means, but it's been heartening to see BBQ make a lot of good decisions around level 1 and also leveraging the power of their Kindred.
I like this from Pilot. Decides to go with the Hex Drinker instead of the QSS. I mentioned QSS, had a look over to the other side and thought the 1 stun from the passive of Ignar is basically the only thing that he really wants to do. With that QSS, so forgoes that, has a little bit more of a magic shield with the Hex Drinker.
Storm is gathering, as you might expect, going for Ashe in a scenario like this. And I agree. basically for Pilot, if his flash is up, he's going to be flashing away after a Hemo play.
Big
We're seeing
teleport flank from
first
Igna.
Ghost.
Yeah, Ghost is going to get in there, but immediately has to cleanse out of the way of the Ash Arrow. In goes Igna, but Hero's entrance comes down as well. It's a big knock-up in the Lamb's Respite, and Ian does find a pretty decent taunt, but it's all about Ghost in the backline. Bono is going to die. Pilot, thankfully, is still alive for MVP, but Ian is taken down. Now Tempt going to move forward. Ghost still alive with a lot of damage. Despite the fact that Pilot survived, the rest of MVP not so lucky.
And this is not about execution, it was timings, Atlas. They were so far up the lane that even though Pilot played the fight perfectly, the rest of his teammates were split away from him, and he couldn't do damage on the enemy front line. They were just zoned away the entire time. This will be a second Baron over to BBQ.
Another free one, and now a Baron on top of a 5,000 gold lead. You expect that power play to equal more than just over 2K. BBQ might be able to find their first victory here today, setting themselves up in game one at least. Remember, they have taken game wins before. There's been a couple this season. They need to keep it going, but this game is certainly giving us some hope.
So this fight is all about Pilot. They're flanked. He flashes the headbutt to stay safe. Pilot is near full health. He can fight, but the problem for him is that Ignar just stands in front of him, and he can't fight front to back. Meanwhile, BBQ have free access to the front line of MVP, just take down the Galio as the third person. So Ignar zones away the Ash, who plays it perfectly, and yet, because the whole team is so far up the lane, can't do any more. It's 59-67 damage. It's a lot of numbers for the Ash, but unfortunately, it can't be on the members to allow the front line to do their job.
She outdamaged the whole rest of the team, whole other team, but still, it didn't matter. Better positioning for BBQ. Now, what can they do with this Baron buff? They want to be able to break open this base. MVP with an AD carry, a little bit more of a more difficult task, because that Hurricane does mean that the Ash has a lot of damage. Now with the BF sword on top of everything else, we'll see whether that's Infinity Edge or a GA. BBQ will be able to take this inner in the mid lane. Minions just a little bit too durable.
Want to see some value out of the cask. So far, I think ADD hasn't been able to find a meaningful ultimate, but to use it, to even get the Lamb's Respite out for the cask to be a big winner, and to draw out some cooldowns. Not been able to get any ults out of Ignar, not been able to pressure BBQ in any significant way. Yondu,
been a bit quiet, actually.
Yondu pretty anemic as well on the Nocturne.
He's got his GA back off cooldown. There is an opportunity for another fight that MVP could potentially go for, and it'll come out at a moment's notice as well. 3 teleports available from the team, but it doesn't really matter when you're relegated to your base trying to deal with Baroned up minions. While all of this has been going on, the 90% kill contribution, Lucian from Tempt in the mid lane, 5-0 and 4, seriously getting some work done.
And they have 2 ranged AD carries, 2 marksmen here, Tempt and Bono, on the Lucian and Kindred, but BBQ need to use their side waves to break the base on this second Baron. If you try to barrel down, there's a lot of ways for MVP to stop you getting turret damage, but if you play 3 lanes, like we often see in these scenarios, Kindred and Lucian separated, there should be a lot of ways to get turrets here. So far, frustrated is the side of BBQ and MVP. If they keep getting to repel these Baron buffs, and Pilot shows up in the next fight with Infinity Edge and his flashback up in an even 50-50, who knows? This mid lane, they're trying it all in.
Yep, they're going for it, as Hero's entrance is just going to mean that Ignar is on his own. Big knockup comes down as well, as ADD can go for the disengage. The door blocks, 1 billion damage from the culling is now crazy. He's going to get booped back. Tempt trying to offer damage, but that is 1 pick, and it saves the base of MVP.
And I'm sure Ignar is saying, why didn't you stay bot lane and do turret damage? There's no way to spare his blushes. He will slowly die in the mid, but crazy. And those in the bot lane could have just engaged the turret and tried to take it down and break the base somewhere, because this second Baron buff is not going to break the base. They actually find very little structure damage in that push.
Straight up didn't do anything. And MVP are going to be able to get some vision down around this Baron area. Of course, it will be another 5 or so minutes before the Baron is available yet again. Elder Drake is going to be the next one coming up. That is certainly high value for BBQ.
2 Barons into the game. we might see a 50-50 fight where Pilot has Infinity Edge and his Flash up, and that shouldn't have happened this game. They should have been able, BBQ, to get a couple of inhibitors earlier, and there is that IE.
Yeah.
His summoners are back up. There's still a team fight that MVP wins, even though BBQ have done so much right in the first 35 minutes.
And he's got a Zeke's Convergence on him and a Knight's Vow coming out from Max, who's going to be empowered himself. This Ashe is huge.
And I'm now trusting Pilot. So I'm going to look at the execution on the Gragas and find a way to actually split the threats and give the Ashe free access to someone rather than the last fight where they were flanked. They cannot allow themselves to be flanked a second time. Now, cannot have a fight where Pilot is only auto-attacking a huge damage reduction Alistar. They can find access onto multiple people with the Ashe. There is certainly a teamfight MVP win.
Well, with the true damage availability now of the Infinity Edge, may not really be much damage reduction on the side of Ignar. Doesn't exactly have all of the items just yet. Looks like he's going for Shirelia's Revelry as well. This guy wants to run as fast as possible. Already has a Righteous Glory. Damn, how much movement speed do you need, Ignar?
Land speed record, I guess, is the option here. See the very low health turret confirming that if they just brute forced it, it would be dead.
Yeah.
Much easier to play around a 1-3-1 when you have a dead turret, but we're asking BBQ to enact, significant 1-3-1 and side pushes, and Atlas, they haven't been able to do that much this season. They've only won 2 games, so I guess we shouldn't be too surprised that their execution is, let's say, rusty on closing games.
I don't know why we just zoomed in on Pilot, as you were talking about him being rusty. BBQ certainly, there's no mistaking that. However, they are in still a position to win. It's 8,000 gold the lead. BBQ are just pushing waves towards MVP.
And big buffs are spawning in a minute. Elder and the Baron, both of which big value for BBQ. But because of the minions, you notice the top lane has been just chilling for a long time. They haven't been able to push that one in. The minions have been much better repelled by MVP than they've been pushed by BBQ. There's actually a chance that MVP can contest those buffs 50-50. At worst, you'd think the BBQ would be taking a free Baron or a free Elder. I think there might actually be a team fight at each.
Bono's just going to be taking his own jungle at the moment. Not really too many looks being taken towards these buffs. Not a lot of vision being controlled around the areas either. A few red wards down the bottom side. Looks like Elder is where BBQ are really focusing. A lot of these wards were hanging around for when they were trying to take the turret, though. They're unable to do that.
If you're asking what should BBQ be doing, it's setting up for either Elder or the Baron with the Lucian. So Lucian and Alistar on one side, putting down control wards and also TP wards for Alistar to come back to later. And then pulling back where possible and either catching someone or trying to take down Siege and Inhibitor turret. That's what you want to be doing here. Controlling one side and having the fallback be an uncontested Elder or an uncontested Baron. Right now, they've done that. You've noticed they have a lot of abilities to flank. Predator on the Vladimir could get in here. They've taken a long time. They've finally done it. MVP is saying in their heads, where is the Vladimir?
Well, they're going to find him. He's going to get taunted as well. Ghost actually taking a lot of damage. Sanguine Pool is down as in goes Yondu. The damage is going to be done. Does at least have a stopwatch to buy some time and flashes to get his way out. But that's a whole lot of buttons that are now on cooldown. The ultimate flies forward. The Ash Arrow is going to land. Special delivery Lucian is going to be picked up by MVP. And now the taunt's going to fly forward. Crazy. The next target, Pilot with the autos, will be able to take down the Mondo. Gets stunned up there as well as the Vladimir completely out of position as AD corrals him towards the bottom side. And this could just be the Elder Drake. MVP, they say they don't want any more kills. They want a big old dragon to break open the spirits and the base of BBQ.
BBQ did not have anyone moving up as Ghost was looking for a flank, and that meant that Ghost could be turned on. The flanker was flanked, an irony not lost on the side of BBQ. Lucian died and Perma CC after that, and now MVP, who had no map control at all, who should have lost an inhibitor turret, might just roll down with the true damage and take the Baron as well.
Yep, looks like Baron is going to be the option here as Crazy and Tempt are going to be coming up in about 20 seconds, but this Baron is definitely not lasting that long. The true damage burn, the fact that they have an AD carry with a Blade of the Ruined King and a hell of a lot of other items, they are going to be able to take it down. It's the Braum that gets it, and somehow we're talking about MVP with an Elder and a Baron.
And watch the replay here. Again, they did what I was alluding to, but it took them so long, and by the time they pulled the trigger on a flank, The rest of the team is in the mid lane, not looking to start this. Ghost doesn't have forever to look for a flank. You need your team to back you up, otherwise you get turned on. They also walk up. They could have fully disengaged this, but a great Braum ultimate into the second stun and the cast finally from ADD we were looking for. We talked in the previous game about how the cast can be like a blitzcrank hook. But if you hit the right one, you can win the game. That one was great. The Observer actually clicked on the health bar, and amusingly, Mundo was gaining health for the majority of being hit by 5 people. Did eventually go down. Look at the damage numbers here. Turns out Ash did more than the entire team by double.
Yeah, and Crazy the only one doing any damage. Part of the reason why that number is so high is that they had a Mundo to soak about 1 billion of it, as we saw.
Very misleading.
Yeah. It's in a turret will go down. Certainly looks impressive, though, so we'll give it to him. As MVP have been able to turn this one around. They almost have themselves a gold lead as they're now trying to break open this base. The brute force probably will work out better as Tempt. Yep, that's been nerfed, buddy. That ain't going to get rid of this minion wave. We do have yet another flank, but I think the base is just broken. And it's just too little too late from Ghost. Doesn't make his way in. They'll lose this inhibitor most likely, as MVP are still respecting it because they can't see the Vladimir, and they're wondering why they were just allowed to get away with that.
And now we can separate the two teams on one big thing, Atlas: fundamentals. MVP's fundamentals here have been significantly better than BBQ, whether that was pushing out their waves to never be 1-3-1 to death when the second Baron came in. This both times when we've seen Ghost set up for a flank, the Gragas hasn't been fishing for a Gragas ultimate. He's been saying, wait, where's the Vladimir? He's trying to flank us, and looking at all the flank spots. They've been smarter about executing in the standard parts of League of Legends, the siege, the counter siege. They've been smarter around that, and unfortunately for BBQ, now this might be the death knell.
Well, they're looking for it. Arrow's going to fly in, but that's just going to continue forever towards the top side of Summoner's Rift as BBQ Oliver's trying to hold on. The outer turret on the top side. Max still hunting for more, and despite these big buttons being on cooldown, MVP still just have so much control. 6-item 80 carry. It's been buffed, guys. The Infinity Edge might be worse early, but it's real good now.
AD has Flash and the Casca, just poking for now.
Yep, Crazy going to take a fair bit of damage. They use a lot of their CC on us. There's the party cask in the backline, but it means that the Mundo is just straight up dead. I liked it a lot out of ADD. Is now in, threatening with the taunt, had the flash, and now can do that once again with the next cooldown. This will be top lane broken. This Baron buff, this is how you use it, BBQ. You take down multiple inhibitors, and look, you can even win the game.
Should be the close here, just waiting for it. Can there be a super play? Ghost, get in there.
What are their options? They don't have the Mundo. They do have a lot of damage with the Hemo Plague, as now Hero's Entrance is going to come down. The turrets are being the focus as Pilot. He wants to demonstrate that he can just straight up win the game by himself. Does a whole bunch of damage, but it's the Galio that gets the kill credit, and the Nexus goes down. MVP, against all odds, win the game.
MVP showed the grit and determination you need in a game like this to stick around. They got a lot of invitations from BBQ. BBQ unable to close the game, just not in a position to fall back to previous games because they haven't been sieging to close a game in the majority of their first 9 best-of-3s. But you always hope the second round robin is a new dawn. Sadly for BBQ, if you're not winning that game, you're not winning too many.
And you can see even MVP not looking very happy with how that game went. They knew that they should have lost in the mid game, and they understand against any other team, they straight up would have. They're just not necessarily the squad that can generally hold off against a Baron and everything else that BBQ were able to throw at them. It was 2 Baron buffs, in fact, that they were able to stave off. That wouldn't have been something they'd be allowed to do against anyone else.
But for once, after that performance, I wish I could just rush in the booth and hug BBQ and be like, you did so much right. This is way better than your other losses. You had a very good early game, a good level 1 plan. You did so many parts of League of Legends well until it was very clear what you didn't. And previous to that, who should be playing for this team? So many things were wrong that the scientific method would be a waste because there were too many fires to be put out. There was one fire here, how to close a game with a lead by going for a 1-3-1 or a 4-1 that couldn't be extinguished. This is the sort of game that a VOD review can improve them on. Sadly for BBQ, they lose here, there's Jin Air, and there's good teams. And that 0-18 season gets ever nearer.
Yeah, this was one of the games that they should have been able to win theoretically. But right now it looks like a real rough one for BBQ. Staring down the barrel of 0 and 10. We're going to have a look at the damage numbers. Yes, Ash does a comically large amount, despite the fact that, you know, these are some big numbers. 26,000 is a big number, but 42 is just bigger.
Stoneplate, of course, was the start of 80 carries doing insane damage with Blade of
Yeah.
Ruin King. And Mundo lived a long time, so Ash probably did about 21,000 damage to Mundo and 20,000 damage to everyone else. Good start by BBQ. They trip over, and now the 0-2 would be very harsh on them compared to their other losses, but looking very likely.
And somehow the Nocturne escapes the loss as well. So that win rate is going to continue to skyrocket. There's a lot of things to break down from that game, but it's not all over yet for BBQ. They will be setting up shop on the blue side of the Rift and having another crack at it. A best-of-3 series, not be a best-of-3 without Game 2. So we'll see what happens and see whether MVP can close it out, or whether it's going to be BBQ finally making their mark and setting themselves up for the reverse sweep. Don't go anywhere.